Greetings, Maburika. Greetings, everyone. What up? Shalom alaikum. Salam alaikum. Sitting here, North Carolina. What a beautiful day it is. So grateful and appreciative for this time that we're living in. Okay? I'm so grateful and appreciative for everyone that's going to lend an ear to what's being said. Having a conversation. At the same time, having a conversation with my drum. It have been a while since I played this Duano. I don't have a key to tighten it up a little, so it's going to sound a little ringing. I'm coming on camera. There you can see me. Here I am. Oh, yeah. Let me see. There you go. Greetings, everyone. Yeah, this I played it in a while. It's a Tubano. That's what it is. Well, like I said, it's such a beautiful day, man. I'm sitting out here in my balcony, practicing. That's what I do a lot when I come to North Carolina. I take care of my family and I practice. Go back to the woodshed. I'm actually in the woodshed. Nah, this is woodshed. Shed. So I just practice. Just working on my speed little by little. I gotta get my hand baggage. Six eight. So again, greetings everybody. Having a beautiful, wonderful experience. I know everyone is. But we're going to talk about things today. I don't know if you heard the news at the Pope. That world that, existence, it had interwoven into our very lives, Got nothing against it. Some get out of the ancient Egyptian order rituals and stuff. It's almost like the Catholic rituals. That's what they do a lot. And the holy cat, I said, a lot of significance in there. Anybody goes to Vatican City, you're going to see a lot of ancient Egyptian statues. Oh, because they stole it. It's like a museum. Well, they know the power that it holds in thoughts and things. I'm going to read you. I'm working on this reggaeton. It's going to be a poem before I get started. It's not actually a poem, it's a lyrics. But would you check it out? Here it goes. Yeah. Vamos a seguir la. I don't know if I can play it and because I got to look down. Let's see. Vamos a seguir la bomba, bomba para bailar. Vamos a seguir la bomba, bomba para bailar. En Borique se disfruta con el sol y el mar. Esta bomba es brutal. Vengan todos a bailar. Sí, es shut off. Canto piquete, la libertad o la muerte. Le lo lai, funky PR. Check this words out. Nunca lo olvidé la cultura de mis padres en Puerto Rico. Puede sacarle jíbaro de su pueblo, pero nunca pueblo de jibarí. Mamá, tengo frío. Este país no es mío. El área se oye el grito. Y lo que no me llamen papi, a mí me dicen tío. Tío. Now Nací en el barrio en el Bronx, al frente de una bodega. Mi gente espera una oportunidad que nunca le llega. Prefiero estar en la playa, dentro de una hamaca con guitarra, una botella de pitorro, cantando canciones de libertad. Vamos a seguir la bomba, a bailar y a gozar. Vamos a seguir la bomba, a bailar y a gozar. Sacando piquete, la libertad o la muerte. En Borinquen se disfruta con el sol y con el mal. Esta bomba está brutal, vengan todos a bailar. Lelo lai, sacando piquete, funky PR. Lelo lai, sacando piquete, funky PR. Funky PR. O P, funky R. To read that once again without the beat, you know. So es vamos a seguir la bomba, bomba para bailar. Vamos a seguir la bomba, bomba para gozar. En Borinquen se disfruta con el sol y con el mar. Esta bomba, hold up. I just had to make sure, you know. Yes, I send those pictures to you. It's in your email. So, let me do this again. I'm sorry, interruptions. Vamos a seguir la bomba, vamos a bailar. Vamos a seguir la bomba, bomba para gozar. En Borinquen se disfruta con el sol y el mar. Esa bomba está brutal. Vengan todos a cantar. Marcando piquete, la libertad o la muerte. Lelolai, funky PR. Nunca olvides la cultura de su padre de Puerto Rico. Puede sacar el jíbaro de su pueblo, pero nunca el pueblo de Jibarito. Mamá, tengo frío, este país no es mío. En Lares se oye el grito. Y a quien no me llaman papi, me dicen tío. Nací en el barrio, en el Bronx, frente a una bodega. Mi gente espera una oportunidad que nunca le llega. Prefiero estar en la playa, dentro de una hamaca con guitarra, una botella de pitorro, cantando canciones de libertad. Lógico. Vamos a seguir la bomba, vamos a bailar y a gozar. Marcando piquete, la libertad o la muerte. En Borinquen se disfruta con el sol y el mar. Esa bomba está brutal, vengan todos a cantar. Lelolai, marcando piquete. Lelolai, marcando piquete. Funky PR. Okay? That's just an idea. Well, yeah, so, you know, this whole thing with the Pope, you know, is interesting in the time. The man was from Argentina and stuff like that. Brother sent me of how he was the only one that had bowed down to the Sudanese, some dignitary, some ambassador from the Sudanese. But I didn't care too much for that. Anything. Now, if he would have bowed down to a regime that addressed in the traditional Sudanese culture, you know, with the jalapeno and the emma in white, you know, Mahdi did that. They dressed the suit of the prophet. They dressed. Then I would have said, wow. But he bowed down to these dignitary ambassadors with the tie and black suits, you know, doing their magic, their magi in Sudan, doing their thing. So that was a little kind of like, you know, but still, you gotta have to acknowledge it. Send me a comment here. Hey, wepa que nepa. So I just kind of like view things. Those are only my perspectives, and you know, take it for what it's worth. So yeah. I'm mixing it up, but now there are some little techniques that I see Giovanni do that. It's amazing, amazing. I was learning it at one time. Just trying to get that style because we all, as percussionists, has our own different style. Don't get that twisted. There's really no one better than nobody. It's just that certain style. Some individuals are child prodigy and they're born to play a specific instrument, and they master it because they came into this existence already with the mastery of rhythm. That's why I named this project that I'm working on Enter the Masters of Cosmic Rhythmic Frequencies. Because when you can align yourself with that, a lot of when you listen to Tito Puente or you listen to Giovanni talking about the salsa, the Latin jazz, and all that, that intunes yourself with that particular frequency to a people, to a culture. Just like if you listen to funk music, funk, R&B, gospel, or all the type of other music here in America, also, that intunes you to that frequency. To the point that people start dressing differently, people start speaking differently, and they assimilated that whole expression frequencies because it's frequencies. And these frequencies, when you look at it, they come from space, the vacuum, and creative people squeeze it out of the vacuum. Take those tones, could be at first chaotic tone. They're just because that's how it works, right? On order, and then you put them in order. Once you start putting them in order, you start giving harmonics. And that's what harmony is all about, order. So when you take tones and you put them in order, you're giving them harmonics, harmony, right? And then that's how that works. You know what I'm saying? Well, you can apply that to every fraction, everything in your life. It can be applied. You know what I'm saying? It's putting everything in order. And it deals a lot with imagination, a vacuum. And in vacuum, there is an image, a spaceless, right? Once you understand that, then you start applying it to your life around you. You use your imagination, you start applying it to the character, personality. Now, some people take that and they solidify that with certain rituals, rites of passage, rituals, hand, that spirit to spur something, cook, spirit cooking, cook something. Because they imagine those ideas and concepts, the feelings and everything, and then they work it with their hands. And they manifest it with their hands because hands also has a frequency. It is like an eye, optic, hands. You feel touch, your senses, the touch senses, and those are frequencies vibrating frequently, tones frequently vibrating and hitting certain centers that we innately develop and have because in order to assimilate, in order to work our way around this environment. You know what I'm saying? This is habitat that we're in right now. We need to use that. But not to go too far out there. But yeah, you know, tones and rhythmic tones, it aligns you to the culture. Yeah. Oh, that's bombas, Puerto Rico, whatever. And in Sudan, they got rhythms like that. They got rhythms like that. And the people in the desert, as Ansar, we used to do that. That was up. Different improvisation and stuff. But anyway, tones and frequency. I'm gonna do it live using tones and frequency because I have. Maybe I should just go right ahead. How much time do I have? I can go ahead and do that. So I did promise someone that I was gonna do something on tones and frequencies. And let me see. Oh, here's another one thing that I wrote. It's very interesting. I've been writing a lot. Really, because a lot of the tracks that I throw out here need to be mixed. So I got to take some stuff out, give it space, and I got to put lyrics on them. This is one that I got. It's called Political Mind Control. You know, I don't know if I put this out, whatever, but, you know, tweak it a little, whatever I have to do to it. But this is just a start. And it goes, they shot Kennedy from the grassy knoll. Political mind control. We elected a president, a criminal. Political mind control. Left wing, a donkey. Right wing, an elephant. Political mind control. Both an eagle, a bird. Two animals. Political mind control. We pledge allegiance under nation, under a legion. Political mind control. To governmental box in departmental government mind control. One speaker in the House of Representatives. Political mind control. Form committees for only the Senate. Political mind control. Judge us for what's right or wrong. Political mind control. We find justice under the law. Political mind control. See? They plex a hex in your society, reaching far into all communities. The eyes is not for you or us to see, but to disrupt the view in your reality. This gets to be a little political, true. It gets the little things in there. But it's just expressing the environment, getting those frequencies that we are going around. And a lot of it are political. Mind control. The media, through philosophy, psychology that you learn in school. All of that is the 5 Ps of political mind control. Also, with the pharmaceutical being the 6 P, pharmaceutical, because it's not an F. That's where the trick is at. It's a P, pharmaceutical. That's the last P, and that control the masses, people with pharmaceuticals. That's the reason why you see pharmaceuticals in all your foods. And I'm not, by no means, not saying that mind control is evil in any way or bad. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just a frequency. It's just controlling the masses of people to get them to under one banner. You know, get them to respect some laws, or, you know, some people think that they're above the law, and some people use that political mind control to create, other societies, they create other types of, secret societies and stuff, because they know, they study this. As a Mason myself, you got to study this, use psychology, all of that, mind control, politics, Peniism, and polytheism, because within the society, right, we can worship anything, from a rock to a tree, whatever. But in the political, in the state, in that corporation, a lot of them don't even have any type of religion. A lot of them claim Christianity, because in the beginning here in America, the lodges that the Millennium Masonic Moors. They were Moors, but they were Masonic. That system, Masonic, that goes all the way back to Samaria, 54 AD, it will go all the way back, and even to ancient Kemet. Well, that's a culture, a cultivation of a science. What they call the occult is the occupation of culture, which is cultivating nature. You know, so when you are occupied in that. So there's some individuals that can take this mind control, learn it and everything, because they teach it in law. They teach it when you study to be a lawyer. They teach it to study to be a policeman. Even in university, in marketing, we have psychology of play, all of that. And we learn how to control the masses of people to get them so they can get them to your site, to, you know, into your site as a police officer, so they can administer, you know, what's so-called policies. Because the police officers, they're really not following the law. It's just the policies that has been expressed to them. Those policies become statutes, and later they can become a law once it's consistent. Because anything that is law is consistent. It's supposed to be law. The law of nature is consistent, and that's how it becomes the law. So again, not to say that mind control is a bad thing, because you can control the masses of the people to get them to create a city, a community, right? You want them to be under one banner. And we learned that as Ansars, right? We built a village, right? And people said, that's mind control because we practice a religion, you know, the Islamic faith and stuff like that. And we're able to use all those tools to build, again, control the mass of people coming in, right? And control, give them policies, statutes, and law, things that you can't do that. You can't, you know, because if not, you know, it can get a little difficult. But anyway, so that being said, I'm looking for my notes here on sound. Let's go into the whole sound thing. Oh my God, where is it? Where are you? Where are you? I did a whole thing on sound. Let me see, it's not here. Well, the universe is made of harmonic and rhythmic patterns. We all know that. And by tuning into them, life flows with more clarity, health, and purpose. When you, again, you're aware, you put that ball of consciousness into the area of harmonic and rhythmic frequency, and that we're looking into the transcendental mind. You're going further to the transcendental mind. So your heart is like a mirror, right? We said that before. When it's clean, it reflects deep light, right? And when it's cloudy, it distorts reality. You know? But I'm trying to, no, these are notes. Oh, Lord. I know I had it here. Notes for a song, no notes on class. No. I think I found it. Let me see. Yeah, here it is. So, again, if there's a way that we can translate emotional experience of looking into the universe into a sonic one, we will probably all hear sounds unique to our imaginations. Again, remember, imaginations. It's a key. Image. And I wrote a poem about image that I'll present it later on. But, and that's just what composers have been doing for over 70 years. You know, squeezing out those tones, right?
Yo, Dad.
Hold on one second. Okay, so hey, hello, cuz, how you doing? Daryl, sounds good. Just ahead of you with those verses. Bro, I learned from the masters. That's true. I learned from the masters. So going on, you know, so like space itself, music is never-ending evolution. There's rhythmic patterns. It shows up in many different patterns, rhythmic harmonic frequencies and different patterns. It shows up infinitely, right? Now, as new technologies aim to heighten our oral connection with the universe, so we connect like that. That's how to connect again. Remember, we spoke about electromagnetic being that we have, which is aura, which is part of our makeup. Now, this is such a wonderment as we gaze up into the known and unknown, translating the experience into sound and unique for each of us. However, composers have developed a vocabulary, if you will, of sound that have been the soundtrack of planetarium shows, space apps, and all forms of media. And I use one of those tones. It's called the theremin. It's an instrument that you use your hands and it makes sounds, right? And you have a couple of different other instruments that can do that. Okay. Also, you have this drum, metallic. Because in South Africa, and I sampled it and I put it in one thing in my secret. I put it in one of my songs called Mission Earth. And when you hear those ding ding bells at the end, that's from South Africa. And in South Africa, they found these bells, stones shaped like long bells, and were hollow, ding ding ding. And they're like, how did this get here? And there's a masses of them. And you could put ding 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 ding. It sends out a frequency, a resonance. So that presented it, and I will throw that in here later on. So you have, a different instrument. One instrument in particular is called the theremin. It's found a way into countless recordings and genre, and perhaps the most popular being on the song "Good Vibrations" by the Beach Boys. They use that instrument on there, and that instrument was created in 1919. Now check it out, 1919. We got that cycle, right? 2019, things happen, right? We got that cycle. So the theremin electronically produces an eerie sound based on the movement of the player's hand. While it has been incorporated to many symphonic composition, Freddie Graffe first introduced the theremin into Hollywood's outer space musical vocabulary in the 1950s. He scored, and check out the film Rocket Ship X and M. Deep. We'll go over that later on some other time. X and M. It was next used in the 1951 Bernard Herrmann in the science fiction movie The Day the Earth Stood Still. Listen to the music. I don't view films like everybody. I listen to the soundtrack and see, because it tells a whole story. Amazing instrument, and I've been using that instrument in some of my songs, and I'm incorporating that into it. I'm weird like that. So fast forward to 2001, a 3-part interstellar radio transmission included music performed by a theremin, signaling everyone out there who might be listening that the way that this may be a representative sound for the cosmos. It's a representative sound for the cosmos. Also, they have those drums. See, in Africa, those drumming were more earth communication like that. But also, you have metallic drums, and you have metallic sound that were sounds that because for some reason they always think it's metallic. Whether it's clay, and many other different substances that are in this experience, this star substance that we're in. Now, the majority of music underscore science fiction and space-related movies and television shows during the 60s was recorded with traditional orchestra imitation. Okay. My Love is Space. Okay, let me go on. Now, in the 1955, synthesizers. I want to talk about synthesizers a little bit. This is just an introduction, because that is your higher energy. Remember, the way physicists created this instrument of synthesizer, Mini Moog and synthesizers, by, again, graphing out those frequencies, feeding into devices, electronic devices, to keep those frequencies and come up with many other imagination of frequencies. Where they're getting this vibe from? Where are they getting these frequencies from? Again, in the space. It's infinite. It's there. So now they got an instrument. Jimi Hendrix was one. But his instrument that he created, Jimi Hendrix, yes, he invented an instrument that took overtones, space. It'll take you out there to space. You talk overtone. Stevie Wonder plays it now. It's a guitar with a lot of strings and hands, and it you can listen to some of the recordings, and you're like, wow. Again, these are extraterrestrial instruments. Yeah, it's called the Dream something. To the first person to have it, Stevie Wonder was one. The Dream Machine. Stevie Wonder was one. No, that's the Dream Machine. That's that keyboard by the Yamaha. But that thing with the two Chinese girls, Jimi Hendrix had the patent for that. They found it. Two Chinese girls found it in the attic, and then Stevie Wonder took it and worked it on. Oh yeah, crazy. So now let's talk about pitch. The pitch. Every tone has a pitch, right? It's like a musical note. A sound in a specific pitch or frequency, like A, B sharp, G sharp, you know? You got whole tones and musical interval equivalent to two semitones. That's a whole tone. Two semitones. So from C to D is a whole tone. If you go from C to C sharp, that's a semitone. To go to the whole tone, you add another semi. Now you got a whole tone from C to D. That's how navigating through traditional keyboard. And you know about whole tones, frequency, keys, right? And semitone, half steps, right? Now the timbre is the tone quality or its color, right? The unique quality or character of a sound that differentiates instruments and voices, like a violin. If a violin plays an A, you could distinguish that from an A from a trumpet player or a sax. That's the tone timbre. That's the quality of that frequency in through an instrument, and then it's given a timbre, a quality. Now you have bright versus dark tones, of course. Bright tones is more sharp and clear, like a trumpet. Then you got the dark tones, like the cello. Cello can be a little dark, you know, it has that. Major and minor tones, so again, you know, major keys tends to sound happy, uplifting, while minor keys seem to seem sad or mysterious. But those are keys. Keys are a string of tones. Strings, a stream of frequencies forms a key, right? Each key has a different arrangement of semitones and whole tones within it, you know? But we're not going to do that music lesson just right now. So the tone in music can be measured in different ways depending on the subject aspect being analyzed. Here are some key ways that tone is measured, okay? Tone refers to the attitude and the feeling that a writer, speaker, and artist convey. Now, this is that definition, but tone, remember, the personality and character, tones are carriers of consciousness, awareness. It opens up that portal. The tone on your Wi-Fi, the blue light and that tone, that the Wi-Fi emits tone. It opens up that portal, you know, and it conveys certain feelings. It's a carrier of certain consciousness and subconscious. I would say it's a carrier of subconsciousness, right? Because there's a lot of feelings that goes in there, and then it creates a habitat, right? So you got types of tones. You got the formal tones, the professional, very respectful. You got the informal one, which is casual, conversational, optimistic, hopeful, pessimistic, serious, humorous. And you look at these are feelings. The idea of some of these feelings is, again, being met at the heart. Okay. Tone is influenced also by word choices. That's some important frequencies around you. And this piece right here, it's a piece of instrument that can emit tones. So that's why I tell people, don't curse in my house, don't curse because you're emitting those tones and you look at the curse, right? But if you say those words like fucking all that in a very, you can say in a very constructive way. Oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? But there are people that just simply just curse. They dirty up the environment. They got to look at their gut. They got to look at the frequency because remember, all that frequency tone settles the core of it's right here in the gut. You know, this is the vehicle for, you know, the portal for it, right in the solar plexus. So if you're not feeding it the right things, you're dirtying your environment. You're gonna be you're not gonna feel good. You're gonna curse a lot. So tone and sounds are a term used by musicians related to the profession, referred to audible characteristic, right? It's mainly used in it. But now we're bringing it into, again, not psychology. We're bringing it into behavioral science, to science, because it is a science. Hearing is a science. Appreciating it, all of that is a science, right? This tone is a part of all influence that we can be heard by the listeners. Hold on one second. All right, so I'm back. Because I love you. They're the Mellotron and the Moog synth. But I'm not, yeah. Let me start looking at my thing. Yes. So again, the synthesizers, and man, there's a nice documentary on it, how they invented, you know, how the synthesizer came about and evolved. And I think the synthesizers, that goes way back. I mean, they even, if you look at some of the old 1910, 20 movie of Buck Rogers, you even see that there. Synthesizer is nothing new. It goes way back to ancient time. It's just now they took the, you know, the environment now, and they took you know, the habitat, the new substance to build these devices again. And what they're doing is taking these patterns, giving it a mathematical code, algorithms, where the computer comes and got it from, and that's what you get your mini movie, you know, and those sounds, and it deals a lot with space. So so that's pitch. Now pitch, that's tones. Tones is the quality, right? Pitch is the frequency. That's measured in hertz. You know, the pitch is a musical tone and measured in the hertz, which represents the number of vibrations per seconds. Now that's the way to do it today. But I'm sure that there is milliseconds. There's other ways to measure that maybe we haven't even touched upon yet. To measure. And that's where Jimi Hendrix was heading. These overtones, these more intricate type of measurement systems that also these synthesizers leads to, you know what I'm saying? And some individuals innately have that. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're playing a beat, right? Right? And you're playing in between the beat. See that? You see it? In between. Yeah. Buddy Rich was a master of that. In between those the beats, those rhythmic expressions, frequencies, and masters. I like Justin Tyson's one of my best drummers right now. Very. He has that ability. Also, Chris Dave, excellent. And Kaba. There's a few drummers that Robert Glasper used, and I love his choice of drummers because, you know. Now, someone like Questlove and Steve Jordan, those are pocket. Those are groove masters. Those are in the pocket. That's different thing. That's a whole different vibe. But they stay in the pocket. But then you have some drummers that intricately in between that pocket are able to, you know, do things. So the standard tuning for the note A4, which is a 4 octave above the middle C, is 440. Originally it should have been 442, but they brought it down to 440. You can record your music, and if you know the key with the key signature and you know the frequency, 538 would be an F or an F sharp F. you could tune your whole musical composition into that F, which is a 538. Right? It's done all the time. Okay. The loudness is measured by decibels, right? The loudness of a tone is measured again in decibels, which indicates the sound pressure level. So some have more pressure, condensed. So music is also fifth dimensional, because remember, fifth dimension, that measurement of the fifth sense is the expansion and contraction. So if it expands, space, when it contracts, pressure, that's measured in decibels. Okay, a whisper is around 30 decibels, but a rock concert can exceed 100 decibels. When I worked at Radio City Music Hall, Prince couldn't play there because his decibels were so high. He had to lower it, and he refused to lower his decibel. So they told him, you can't. Why? Because he's in here in this theater that was formed in 1930. Those are the original panels, acoustical panels. That's why it has people love playing there, the Radio City Music Hall, a lot of artists, because of the panels and the history that it has, right? You don't want to shatter those because they're unreplaceable. They're antiques. Those shit, right? You don't want to do that. Okay? So they don't allow you to play there at a very high decibel. I don't know how Depeche Mode got away with it, because when I went to work that concert with Depeche Mode, it's like my heart wanted to pop out of my body. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. But they did it. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. So in duration, that's times in second, beat per minute, either BPM in music. All of this is attributed also to having awareness of frequency, rhythmic frequency. I promise I was going to do something in tones, frequencies, and vibrations. So all of this is in the same subject, right? Different instruments have unique harmonic structure that give them distract tonal qualities, okay? So Tendred is analyzing using Fourier analysis and spectrogram, which break its sound down into its harmonic frequencies. I'm just giving you these terms, throwing these terms out here, right? Now, when you talk about hertz and frequencies and pitch, the higher the frequency, the higher the perceived pitch of a sound, right? Standard tuning. Now, they say standard tuning pitch music instrument is 440 hertz, which is frequency of the note of A, above the middle C, right? Now, as a reference, is used to point a tuning musical instrument, showing that the instruments worldwide are tuned to the same pitch, right? That's tuning. Other frequencies, of course, you have many different other frequencies. For example, middle C has a frequency of 261.6 hertz, right? Now, vibration. Now, that's frequencies. Tones, frequencies. Now, the vibration, vibrating it. It's a rapid motion of particle in the listening body. Substance back and forth when the stretch cord. Produce a musical tone or molecule in the air, transmits sounds to the air because it vibrates. Those frequencies are alive and it's vibrating the air around you. Those molecules in air, oxygen molecule, it's vibrating it. And when that happens, ding, 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 there is resonance. And that's what you pick your audio ear pick up. Okay? Vibration, how it's called, okay? But it's measured in MMS or IPS. You can measure in an IPS by IPS. Acceleration, that's the time of the rate of the velocity. Okay, so yeah. So that's tone, frequency, and vibration in traditional science, in this type of science. Now, there's much more that we can go into impact. Remember, science is being rewritten all over again for the simple reasons that they're finding out that a lot of things that they taught in science and the things that they taught us, it's not accurate. It's not. And I say it was accurate for that point in time, for that purpose that they created it for. But now what's happening, because we have a and access to this imagination, to the space and frequencies that are being bombarded. Earth is always being bombarded by certain frequencies. We all know that. That's coming from the cosmos. And those frequencies are bringing tones, carries of subconsciousness, right? And it's here. Now, how did this ties into our life? And also how this ties into the Bible and biblical? It's all. It's when you get into the story of that character personality, what they named Jesus, which we know the truth about that story. You know, there was a man named Jesus that came later on. His name was Yeshua Ananim, something like that. He was a practitioner of the mystical schools. He studied, and you see how he travels here and there and study. They don't have any accounts of him in the Bible until he was 33 or 30 years old. Well, all those other years that he was there, he was studying. He had the ability, because remember, he comes from money. Joseph was a carpenter and had a very well business, and he helped out a lot, and they traveled. Okay, so he was able to study, and they even have the story where him went to Egypt, because Joseph had business in Egypt. He went to Egypt and he sat among the masters and he started to converse with them and show them things, his perspective on things, and they were amazed by his perspective. So he became a revolutionary, because at that time, what they call the Roman Empire, which is more the Etruscans and their societies, there was a lot of people that was of the Jewish faith and Judaism. Judaism came also. You got Judaism, Catholicism, and you got Mohammedanism. All of them are related. Matter of fact, they all dressed almost the same. The original Christians had that. They had the robe, they had the cap. The Judaism, the earlier Christians, Catholic to this day wear that, and the Muslims wear that. They all have almost the same, because it's almost from the same culture. It's from the Karastus people. Karast, where they get Christ, Cristo, Karast. Later on, we'll go into that a little more. But what are the Karastu beings? And some of us have that genetics of Karastu beings. Karas. We're born again. Karas means to bury. And when you bury something and then you lift it up, it's born again. You bury your sins, you bury all that. It's born again. That's a traditions of the Karastu beings. Karastu beings. And so he practiced that. That's the reason why they interpreted him. He was a Messiah. And Messiah, the word Messiah means to wipe. Even in Hebrew, it means to wipe away. Massah, the table. I wipe away the table. Massah, right? He wiped away your sins. They used to wipe it away with crocodile oil from the crocodile. And they used to wipe it. And that's how they anointed you. Now they think they use olive oil or something. I anoint myself with rosemary and olive oil every morning when I'm at a temple. But that's anointing yourself when you anoint and you say certain prayers or something, you let that light shine. These are ancient practices that has been taken away, that you don't even see it in these churches in today's time. You do see them in the Catholic. Hello? Oh, a second. Sorry, you got people slamming doors. You don't know what they're doing. Okay, there's the wind. I got the door open. So, talking about the Karas, and we went over that. So all that is relatable. All of that relates to one another. Okay, so yeah, we know about this, but then what they did with historians or people that graph stories. They call historians. They grab stories and tell stories, and they document it into story form. They took that man because there was a big revolution. There was a big movement in the church in that Rome, in the city of Vatican. It was a big movement, right? And Nero the Emperor Nero did not want that, because people were, one is this, they were using the 7 candles, they were involved in that, but there was a lot of fires. People that were not taking care of it. That was a problem for the administration, for the government. And also the faith was changing. And it was all, and it's relatable. It's a lot, and even in Islam, because if you look at the story of Muhammad, when he said that he got the revelation, the recitation from the angel Gabriel, right? Who confirmed it? Who did it take him to? And he was saying, well, I don't understand. It's saying that I'm a messenger, I'm the prophet, I'm the last prophet. And they took, for his validation, because they had manuscripts and scriptures to follow that thought, that vein, they took him to a Catholic priest, which was his uncle. I forgot, Abbas, right? Was it Abbas? Something like that. He was a Catholic priest. And Saudi Arabia, there. So it's all related. You know what I'm saying? So, but the point, where I was going with that. So in that, when you study the sciences and you study, for instance, the stuff that was, there are a lot of stuff omitted from the Bible. We know that from the stories. But then there's some that they did not omit, because they were points of sort of like enlightenment, right? Like have to, right? When you pinpoint that, you read that, you get to, and then you look at other cultures and you go into that type of practice, you see where it's all relatable and where it comes from. You know what I'm saying? So this thing about tones and frequencies and this, it was discussed in that simple Bible that you probably have. It's just, you don't know the key, how to extract that. See? That's something that we study. How to extract that. Instructed by a master. And again, sound right reasoning. Don't never forget sound right reasoning. I don't care what anybody said, what I say, anybody. Always test it. Test like this, test the spirit. Right? You got to test it with correct knowledge, correct wisdom, what kind of experiment or experience you have, and also correct understanding is how I use stuff. Understand how it's being used in your experience in life. Okay? That's understanding. Test it always. Anything when anybody says. So in this science of tones, frequencies, and vibrations, it's very important because it links, you understand one thing. And we already had, and I say it again, you're engulfed in the substance of a star. You're engulfed in a star, the Milky Way, a galaxy. You're in a galaxy, star, and your substance of a star. You're made up of star substance, star stuff. Okay? And that star, the sun, all of it have frequencies. The frequency from the sun is being manifested and expressed through mandala, what they call, mandala. Is that I say that right? Yeah. So there are people that gaze into the sun, they come out, and then a lot of that science is kept by the Tibetans and the Far East. They draw these elaborate type of art. We call them art expressions because those are expressions from the sun. And the sun has a frequency. They measure that frequency and they can do art, sun art. That's what they did in ancient Kemet. They were solar people. Their whole life is based on, because they knew they were star people. We are all star people to this day. That's what this says in the Bible. Jesus said, you are God's children of the Most High. You are a star. You're engulfing it. It's embodied. That's the source of it. And so these frequencies, tones and frequencies and vibrations are a huge part of that. It's the science of how it expresses itself in that. And that's what, through this musical art, we want to touch it. It's those expressions of that. So you are, like they say, another star. A sign language. Another star. We use that. You are and I. Another star. We use that with the Hotter in July group when we do Another Star by Stevie Wonder. Beautiful song. Beautiful. A master, a guru, a prophet in that world. That's why I'm definitely thinking of doing a remake of one of his songs, right? With percussion. Maybe get Gary to do something on there, and we're gonna do it and feature it on the masters of cosmic rhythmic frequencies, because he is definitely one master of cosmic rhythm frequencies. He mastered that. He embodied that. And those are ones you have to acknowledge, the ones that came before you, and continue and keep it up. You know what I'm saying? But that's where we're heading on that. I thank everybody for being here. Sheila, my love. Oh my God. I just remember the times I had with my cousins when we were young. Those memories just stuck in my head. I miss my father very, very much. Carlos Alberto Hernandez Sr. Good man. Very smart. Good heart. And I know it because the fruit don't fall far from the tree. Unless someone pluck it out, taste it and eat it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I love that very much, and I love my family very much, and my mother's family also, short. The Haitian bloodline and Mali, Mali and Sudan bloodline all up in there. It shows up in my DNA, but even though I don't quite, because even though when you study tone, frequency, and vibrations, it also deals a lot with the DNA. And there's a nice breakdown of that actor who I worked with Radio City Music Hall. He was there for a very short time. We worked at the orchestra. Goddamn, what's his freaking name? Terrence Howard. Shout out to you, Terrence. I remember we had a nice conversation when we was working some concert at the Radio City Music Hall. And that brother been deep since day one. Since day one. So that's Terrence Howard. And he did a great breakdown about those frequencies. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there, yo. I'm already at 58 an hour. They want to stay here more than an hour. People just start dropping off. It's Monday, Easter. I'm heading back. Sometimes this week, I'm heading back to Tampa. I'm getting work done. Do a little more concerts, a little tour. But again, blessings to everybody. Man. Hey, listen, all in blessings. I love you. Because you and I are another star. Salud.